Hey, buddy, how are you?
Howdy.
Welcome to Between Two Viewers. You are actually episode lucky number 13.
Ooh, very nice.
So
I'll
cheers,
take it.
cheers to 13.
Cheers.
This is my buddy Josh Smith. Josh, you live up in Saratoga, correct? Or
Yep.
yeah.
Just a little bit outside of Saratoga, Porter Corners, New York. Little rural. It's like the foothills of the Adirondacks. So
Doesn't get any prettier than that.
very pretty snowy. But if you like the snow, there's no hurricanes or alligators or
Yeah,
nasty things
tarantulas,
like that.
yeah,
Yep.
or scorpions. Yeah.
Yes.
Did you get the 2 feet of snow?
Well, we got about 10 inches the other day, and it
Nice.
looks like we're going to get another 13 and then 13 later on this week.
Oh
So
wow, lucky
I'm
you.
gearing up. Yeah.
Yeah, they said we were supposed to get like 3 to 6 inches the other night, or 6 to 9 inches. We got like two.
Nothing. Ugh.
Darn it! But
Yeah.
I tell
Yeah.
you, for a guy who skied my whole life, I used to run a ski school here locally. I skied the other day with my buddy, and it's the first time in my life my knees hurt for days.
Oh, no kidding. Is it because of the lack of snow?
Yeah, probably from skiing on ice, but also
Yeah.
I think being 54 has a lot to do with that.
You're 54. You look great, Mike.
Thank you. Yeah,
A youthful
54. Well,
54.
well, here you go. There's the
There
54.
it is. Oh,
There
man.
it is.
You just got to pay extra for that.
So somebody asked me if my buddy's like, did you color your hair like that? I said, no, Jesus did.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not fun. I mean, you're an athlete, right? Feeling that all of a sudden you go, ow, what the hell was that?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. So I grew up wrestling,
Yep.
and so I never learned to ski, but I wrestled a whole lot in the winters. And now that I'm 32 now, I've got a lot of friends who are like, oh, dude, let's roll around. I'm like, no, all done. I'm
Yeah.
retired.
Yeah.
I'm a decommissioned athlete. And I'm interested in only longevity at this point.
Yes, that is a great way to think about it.
That's it.
Longevity.
I just don't want to get hurt.
Are you really 32? Holy crap.
32, man. I know. Seems like only yesterday we were talking
Yeah.
in my senior studio back at Alfred, right?
Yes. And
Yeah.
that was, my God, that was like 13 years.
2014.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Speaking of which, here, remember this thing?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. One of my only hand-built pots I've ever made.
I know. This thing's going to be worth $1 million in a couple of
Yeah.
years. So
You have
I
to kill me
forgot what you
first,
gave
Mike.
me. Yeah, right? Your pots are worth a lot more after you're dead.
That's right.
Then I have this great jar. This is one of my favorite jars ever. Remember this
Oh,
one?
yeah. That one
Dude,
was from Taos.
I use this a lot on the show. Is this from Taos?
Yep.
Because I show people this. That's a perfect lid.
That one came out good. They don't all come out like that.
I think
That's for
I
sure.
think when I bought no, they don't. See, and that's really good for people to hear. They don't all come out like that. I have a big pile of junky pots over there, so it's funny. I have 2 shelves full of teapots that just don't pour well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, it's funny. I feel like, I was at a craft show a few months ago, and somebody was like, "How do you make?" They're like, "Oh, wow, these are all wheel thrown." Because my pots are typically pretty tight, and I like to remove the throwing lines a lot. I
Yeah.
remove most of the like evidence left by the hand.
Yeah.
Um, but I told him it's the way you make a good cup is you make 10,000 bad cups. It's like, and I feel like pottery is like one of those things where you stand on the bones of your failures.
Well,
So
yeah.
if you can get comfortable failing a lot, like fail fast, fail hard, and don't, I don't know. I think something that I've noticed a lot of people do is it's almost like they develop a system that works, and then they
Mhm.
become afraid of leaving that because failure sucks so bad.
Yes.
So what I do is I try to never develop anything that works.
Ha!
So
Ha!
I am, but I mean, and I mean that kind of jokingly, but
Yeah.
I feel like pottery and ceramics is like it's like a it's like a medium where it's for self exploration. And if you try to make it self exploration and business and your passion and keep it creative, and you're
Yeah,
asking too much, you
you
know.
can't do it all.
You can't, you just can't,
No.
and have it be fun, you know.
Yeah, exactly. If you look on my Instagram thing, my definition or whatever, my thing under my name, it says my pots meet in the space between form or function and me having fun.
Totally.
Right? Because
Yeah,
I'm having fun. If I make a good pot and it works, great. If not, I'll make another one.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's funny. That seems to be a recurring theme on this show. Is I just Charlie Teff the other day we talked about it. You're gonna make bad pots, and I think the good potters come through. Are the ones that come through are the ones that hang on through those bad pots and don't quit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so too.
I told him, I said, I said, Josh, who's going to be here Monday, was instrumental in me making bad handles. You're the guy back in the day that said your handles suck.
Oh
Now
my God, I'm so sorry,
he
Mike.
was right.
Well, it's funny when I was in John Gill's class, hybrid vessels junior year,
Yep.
and he was so I was taking junior pots and hybrid vessels. John was he let you sort of run your own program,
Yep.
and he was there to support it, which worked great for me because I have a hard time getting told what to do.
Uh-huh.
So he was coming over. He was looking at some of the mugs I was making for junior pots, and he looked at me dead in the eyes and he goes, "Have you ever touched a dead person?" And I was like, yeah.
Not yet. Yeah.
Geez, I was like, yeah, I guess. I guess now that you mention it, I touched my grandfather's face at his wake when I was a little boy. And he
Yeah.
was like, okay, that's what touching your handles are like. And then he just walked away, right? And I was like, what the,
Oh,
what?
yeah.
I was like, oh,
How dare
I
you? Yeah.
shocked to the heart.
Yeah.
But he was right. You
Yep.
know, like and it's like if you can, it was definitely a hit to my ego, but it made me reevaluate the way I made handles.
Yep.
And
John.
since then, I was like, holy shit, this is a weak spot in my game. I
John
need to
usually
make
is right.
so many handles until they're good. I need to just keep on working it because a lot of people hate throwing handles and they hate glazing and they hate these different
Yep.
aspects of the process.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Like when I teach golf, like people come for a lesson and they want to hit the club that they already know how to hit. I said, well, you're not here to learn how to hit, right? What can't you hit? You got a
Right.
hybrid in there. Let's hit that. And they're like,
Yeah.
no, I hate that club. I said, well, that's the one we got to work on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
John's usually right when it comes to ceramics, isn't he?
Yeah, ceramics and life.
Yeah.
I feel very, very lucky to have had the professors that I had at Alfred when I was there. I feel like I was there there was still the core six, right? It was
Yeah.
Ann Courier, Wayne Higby, John Gill, Linda Sikora, Walter McConnell,
Yep.
and oh my God, who am I blanking on?
Was
Andrew.
Val still
Andrew.
there?
What was that?
Was Val still there when you were in school?
Val wasn't still there, no. But I mean, he was still alive. We went and visited his studio, and we got him in for I think ended up being his last lecture, which was pretty
That's amazing.
pretty amazing. Yeah, he was a real sweet guy. Actually.
I was thinking that last night as I was kind of like, writing down questions. I'm always the night before. I usually get on and I just go through people's Instagram and I just look at their website and I just write down a bunch of questions for the podcast. And I was going to say you were there at a great time, actually.
Totally. Yeah, totally. And I think I don't know. It's like I feel like you really at Alfred specifically, they really they will they will show up as much as you show up, you
Yeah.
know. And I was, uh, I feel like I was, as I didn't do ceramics at all until I got to Alfred.
Oh wow. Okay.
Um,
No shit. Really?
and and when I got into Alfred, when I found out when I was in high school, um, it was one of the only schools that I got into, and I started crying. I was so sad. I was like,
Serious.
no, I don't want to go that far away, 4.5 hours away. And
Yeah.
my girlfriend had gotten into a different school, and, I
Uh-huh.
was like, no, no, not there.
Yeah.
But, I went there just having been doing drawing and painting in high school, and they make you do 4 different studios
Yeah.
your sophomore year. And that's when I did ceramics for the first time. And as soon as I did it, I was like, oh, like
This is fun. Yeah.
this is it,
Yeah.
Um,
That's a
and
cool moment.
oh yeah, for sure, yeah, for sure, But and going back to what you said, when I told you your handles sucked, when I was at Alfred too, I definitely was like, it's funny looking back, I was an ecstatic beginner, full of all that like new beginner energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited to share everything that I was learning to the
Mm-hmm.
point where I think I drove a few people nuts. I was like, oh, what if you could do it this way? What if you could do it that way?
Yeah.
And that's something that, in hindsight 2020, being a young immature guy,
I'll
you
tell
know.
you what. My handles are good now.
Oh shit, man. Well, I'm glad to hear your handles are great. You've got it all
Well, you know what I
down.
did? I started pinching them a couple years ago
Yeah.
because I just never liked I could never get a pulled handle to look good. Some people
Yeah.
do. Some people
Yep.
make it look fantastic. I can't.
Yeah, I totally hear that.
And you would know this, living in upstate New York, most of the time the studio is cold,
Freezing.
so you're got your hand in wet water and you're trying to, it's dripping down your elbow and blah, blah, blah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Um, yeah, I spoke to John Gill a couple weeks ago, actually.
Oh really?
Yeah, I called him up to see if he wanted to be on the show before he gets, too old because he's retired now.
Oh yeah.
And I said, John, it's Mike Griffin. I don't know if you remember me. And he says, oh yeah, the golfer.
Yeah.
He's so witty, that guy.
Oh yeah.
But he did the same thing. There's these John Gillisms. Like every time I saw him back in the day when I was obsessing over ceramics and wanted to learn everything I could without going back to school, he would always, draw me a picture and send me to the library.
Yep. Oh yeah.
But I was talking to him the other day, and he says, Mike, you work with porcelain? And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And then he's talking all the time. Like, where are you going with this right now? And he says, you still ski? Because he remembered that I skied too. I was like, yeah, hell yeah. He says, you ever seen pots with flat bottoms? They get kind of boring, right? I'm like, yeah. So he says, well, the next time you're skiing, picture the snow as porcelain and your skis are the rib.
Genius.
Yeah, it's mind blowing, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, thanks, John. So he said he'll think about being on the show. It's tough for him now because he's always got 2 people in his studio helping him, assistants all the time.
Yep.
So he's like,
Oh yeah.
which is cool. But
Well, it's like I feel like John in a lot of ways is like a great North Star for people who are thinking about, seriously becoming an artist.
mm-hmm.
Because I feel like John is, we're talking about that like young person's excitement when you first like find something.
Mm-hmm.
He's managed to hold on to that.
Yeah, he's still got it. Yep.
It's never worked for him. Like it's purely expression. And I feel like he makes with like no shame or like there's no self-consciousness in his work.
Yeah.
Like letting it out.
Yep.
And it's like in that, it's like his pots sell for a good amount of money, like during his lifetime, which is more than most artists can say.
Absolutely.
And you know, I think that the money comes after, and when I say that, I mean I hope that the money comes after,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because yeah, it's I that's something that I've been thinking about a lot in my own practice. I finally have my studio built. I decided not to go to grad school,
Mm-hmm.
and instead just focus on building my own studio and getting my own practice sort of established.
Uh-huh.
Um, but now it's here it is. I've got my studio. I'm like talking to you, and I'm waxing pots, and now it's like, oh no, it's like now it's like I've done it. I've like achieved my goal, and I thought it was going to take me a lot longer.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm like, now what do I do?
Now
Right.
what?
So that's sort of where I've been the last couple of months.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a really good way to look at John's energy. Um, actually, I think I've mentioned him almost on every single show I've had so far because he was such a profound imprint on my pots. I remember I was on the Allegheny Artisan tour back when I was first making pots, and him and Andrea came to my house to go to the studio tour, and I was like,
amazing.
what are you guys doing here? And John was like, oh, dude, you're making good pots. Just remember to do this and do this.
Yep,
Your pots are good, and that was huge for a beginning potter from John.
for
Did you?
sure.
Did he ever cut that piece of paper out for you and tell you to make it?
I was gonna say, you want to see my paper cuttings? I still have them.
Do you have them? I
Of
lost
course,
one.
I have them. Those things are.
Yeah.
That's my retirement plan.
Right.
No, all right, here you go.
He
All
cut
right,
one
so I
out for me.
actually, I actually found him because I had a feeling that might come up.
He
That's
cut
that's
one
really
out for
cool.
me while sitting at at the counter.
Really?
Yeah, he cut it out of the placemat, and I don't know where it is. Yep, there you go.
So these were cut. Okay, these were cut out of. I don't know. You remember Henry Chrisman?
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
So
He did the Kiln to go.
Yes, the mobile Anagama. Let's see if I can
Yes.
set this up here so you can see it.
Oh, that's cool.
So this is so what John would do is he would take these. He'd come over to you working in your studio. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, those are artwork of their own.
But he would come over to you working in your studio, and he would take out. He'd be like, "Do you have scissors? I need scissors right now. It's a panic. I need scissors and paper. I need them right now." And he would just start like Edward Scissorhands.
Yep.
Paper snippets flying, and then he would unfold the profile of a pot. So this is like a drop rim bowl.
Yeah, that's a
You
Mackenzie
can
bowl.
imagine it cut in half. It's a beautiful drop rim bowl.
Wow.
And then he would just hand you these. He'd be like, "All right, make this. Right?
Yep.
He'd say, make it. Here you go. Make this one." And then he would cut another one.
Yep.
This one's great. Wait till you see this one.
That's what he said to me in the jet. He goes, "Call me in after you learn how to throw this."
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And like, look at the architecture on that. So like, you see how it gets nice. Oh, I'm dropping it here. Sorry about that.
That's
You
amazing.
see how it gets nice and that thick, juicy rim, and then it gets thin under the foot. This stuff has been really. Oh, dropped it. Here we go. We got another one. We got 4 of these.
I mean, you can spend a month just trying to make one of those pots.
Oh yeah, and hey, believe me, I have.
Yeah.
But they're I mean, so he's so generous, and I
Yes.
think that working with Val and Robert Turner, like
Sure.
all these legends.
Well,
Yeah,
Freddie was there when you were there, right? Freddie Fredrickson?
of course, Freddie Fredrickson.
I've known Freddie for most of my life, actually. Him and I think we're actually related somehow.
No kidding.
Yeah, Freddie's a good buddy of mine. Actually, I think he wants to give his film company to Sean Murray. You know Sean?
Sean Murray?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yep. Sean's a good buddy.
So I was there right as Sean was starting to take over for Freddie.
Yep. Sean's a good buddy of mine. I go see him every time I'm down there. He's a great dude. Genius.
He was one of my. So Linda Sikora was on sabbatical, and he was my junior pops teacher.
Okay.
Yep.
So Freddie, what was I getting at with Freddie? So Freddie one time, I'm trying to remember what he said. Oh, we were talking about John. Oh shoot, where was I going to
Oh, that's all right.
go? Darn it.
Well, it'll come back to it. I mean,
Oh no.
Freddie,
No, we were talking about how great Val Cushing was. We were talking about
yeah,
how great John is, right? And
yep,
he said he remembers like he was in the hallway talking to Val, and this, young girl came over with a pot that was just huge and clunky, and like Mr. Cushing, look what I made. And he turns to this girl and says, "Oh, this is beautiful. This is wonderful. You can do this and this and this, and this is fantastic." And he goes, as soon as she left, Freddie turns and goes, "How do you do that?" He's like, "That was a terrible pot."
yeah,
And he said, it doesn't take much to be nice to people.
yeah. No kidding.
You can change
Yeah.
someone's life just by being nice to people.
Yeah, and it turns out that's like one of the only rules of
Yeah.
is
Right?
you have to be nice.
Yeah.
Um,
I tell my
that's
daughter
something
that.
that,
I'm like, I want you to get good grades in school, but I don't really care. I want you to be a better person.
yeah, no kidding.
I want those teacher notes to come back. I want them all to say a pleasure to have in class.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Because I wasn't.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, yeah, cool. So wrestling, huh? That's cool. You know what they're doing now? You played rugby at Alfred, right?
Yes, I did.
They're building a football field up there where the rugby field is.
Are they really? Oh,
Like a
thank
whole
God, that
stadium.
field was terrible.
Mm.
Jericho
huge-
Field.
It's a huge thing. I think it's going to be like crazy.
That's great.
Another
Yeah, that's
multi-million-dollar project.
Yeah, I only played. So my college roommate. I don't know if you remember Henry Glavin. He was a painter. Still is a painter.
Nope.
Shout out Henry. Check,
Hey, Henry.
check his work out. He want to see some beautiful architectural paintings.
Oh, wait. Is he the guy with the shadows?
The shadows.
Dude, those are unbelievable.
The buildings and the shadows. Yeah, he's incredible.
Yeah, those are incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. But he played rugby, and he was this tiny little guy in college. He was like 6'1" and 130 pounds soaking
Yep.
wet. And I was like, it was a year of watching him like hobble back to the art studios to like
Yeah.
work on his stuff. And I decided I was going to play so I could protect Henry.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's what I did. So
Oh.
I wasn't the biggest fan of rugby. I'm not a big team sport guy. That's why I didn't like glass blowing as much when I was at college.
Oh, yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, ugh, depending on someone else, hate that.
Yeah,
But
right.
the thing I love about ceramics is typically it's a one person show. There's no one to blame except for you,
Yep.
and that's where I need to live.
Well, I
in
know
the
all about
place of accountability.
Yeah, I'm a golf pro. I know all about it.
For sure.
That's
Yeah,
the
for
thing.
sure.
Can't blame anybody except the wind.
Right.
But Angus Powers is a good buddy of mine, and he's always like, "Mike, you got to come blow glass with me," and I always say, "Nope." And he's like, "What do you mean? You'd be great at it." I said, "Yeah, I know, but that's the problem is I would like it, and
Yeah.
it'd be all over. The addictive side to me would be like, all right, now I got to build the glory hole." And
Sure. Well, but you know what, Mike? Maybe you should. I mean, how many opportunities do you get
right,
to do something that cool? And it might be the kind of thing where something I've noticed is it's good to spread out your passions a little
Sure.
bit. And I think, you have that with golf for sure, where I'm sure that your golf game directly talks, is interacting and pushing your ceramic game forward and vice versa. You're learning.
yeah, just in mental growth, I would think. Yep.
Absolutely, which is everything. That's
Sure.
all we got.
Yep.
But yeah, man. I mean, I remember. So like, I'm in the granite countertop business.
Okay.
That's
Yep.
how I put myself through Alfred. Grew up pretty poor, so I've been working, since I could work.
Yep.
But so I still have a day job.
And
I
it's
still work at the granite shop. I've been working at the same place off and on since I was 18.
oh, no kidding. That's cool.
So I used to be polishing countertops by hand using
Gotcha.
these diamond pads, and it's really, really hard work.
Yeah.
And eventually, I was working with all this stone, during the summers and winters, and then I was going to school and working with stoneware, and then I decided it might be a good idea to start polishing some clay.
Yeah, I remember you actually did that back in Alfred, and I was like, "Oh man, that's genius."
Well, that's generous. It just happened to work out.
Yeah,
It's
I
all
used, I used
yeah.
to do marble floors,
Oh, really?
polish marble floors. Matter of fact, I was watching you hand sand that bowl the other day, and I was like, "Man, how come he's not using a grinder?
Yeah.
It would go way
Totally.
faster."
It's definitely faster. Yeah. I sort of, these bowls are an experiment. Here, I got them right here. I can show you if you
Yeah,
want.
they're badass. So I
Thanks,
started
man.
doing the bases a couple of years ago. I took where I'm trying to find it. I saw a guy do it. Where the hell is it? Hold on. This is the fun of live podcasts that don't get edited. So a guy who was on the show a couple of weeks ago, he lives in Scotland now. Brandon Pena.
Okay.
He did this a couple years ago. You know these diamond pads.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You probably use these every day or seen them every day. So what he did was he took a bat and he velcroed a piece of Velcro to the
Nice.
bat, and then you just go like that,
Nice.
and then put it on the wheel, and then
Yep.
you just do
Perfect.
the bottom of the mugs,
Yep. Perfect. Yeah, that's a great idea.
and it's it comes out like glass when it's done.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when I was at school, I was taking glazed calc with Matt Katz.
Yep.
And that was my project, I was like, I wanted to see how this polished surface, it wasn't really glazed calc, it was more clay calc.
Mm-hmm.
But, I was firing stoneware to cone 10 back then, which is the magic temperature. I'm working at cone 6 right now, which is a little less magic. But in terms of vitrification, that is. But, everything was coming out totally food safe, without any glaze on it.
Because it's sealed.
I
Right.
mean, because the clay is non-porous, so it's just that's why cone 10 is so powerful, is because that's the temp where the glaze and the clay both become non-porous.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's pretty. I mean, I don't know. I thought it's a pretty unique surface.
Yeah, I think it is. And with the marbling you're doing right now, that's going to be really cool. I'm excited. Do you have any of those that are shined up?
I got one. I got one back here. Let's see. Now, this is a platter I did a while ago. We'll see if you can catch any reflection on it.
Oh yeah.
So it's pretty, it's pretty glossy.
With no glaze.
No glaze. No glaze. And then, so, right now I've got a bunch of pots that are marbled, but it's too cold to polish because the hose will freeze. And I have to use water or else it gets really dusty.
Yeah.
But I've got some. Mike, here, I got this.
How many pounds was that?
I think this was 60 or 70.
Good Lord.
But it's a big, we'll see if I can drop it here.
Dude, that is awesome.
So, I've got some big
That's a great
pots that are, I'm getting ready to polish here. Let's see, I got some stuff over here. Here's like an orb.
Oh, wow.
I don't really know what I'm doing, Mike. I'm going to be honest with you. I have no clue what I'm doing, but I know I'm having a good time.
Well, Well, and we were just talking about that with John, too, right? That comes through in people's pots, I think.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And,
Totally.
and it can be the other way around, too. When you make it too much of work, you can see it in the pots.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I was going to mention that. I've always loved your experimentation with form. Like you're throwing double-walled vessels, you're throwing big giant pieces. You're like, I'm gonna try this. Why not?
Yeah, for sure. I hate having money, Mike. I just hate it. Well, it's like it's it's funny. I mean, I feel like um, I feel like with my particular practice, my particular like making practice, I want to keep it. I want to protect it,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I kind of, and I pleased by my work, but I kind of hate selling stuff. I kind of hate that I have to.
Yeah.
And if it were up to me, I'd seriously just give everything away if I could afford to.
Yeah.
Um, but because I would be doing this anyways.
Yeah, like I don't think my ceramics makes me any money. I don't think I lose any money.
Yeah.
But I got a big pile of pots over there. I'm trying to save some up for the flower. I got invited to the Flower City pot.
Oh, amazing! Congratulations.
Dude, I'm stoked. Wes Brown invited me, which was really cool. Because back, when you were in school, I would go to that show and be like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, these people are amazing. And now I get to be a part of it. It's mind blowing to me.
That's incredible.
But yeah, like I think I'm a lot like you. I'm just gonna keep making stuff. If it sells, that's fantastic. If it doesn't, then whatever.
Yeah. I mean, you only lose if you quit,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And it's like so. I don't know. I mean, I feel like when I was at school, I didn't really know what I had. I had never made pottery before, and then I was at Alfred, and then
Yep.
I was like, "Oh wow, this is great! Like, holy cow!" And at Alfred, they were all about pushing the idea of your
Mhm.
work. They're like, "Let's push it. Let's keep pushing. Let's keep pushing." Like, don't just make the same thing you made last year better. Make something completely different.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um, to the point where I don't know, maybe with some grad students, I saw them get pushed too far, maybe
Sure.
into like esoteric, unapproachable land,
Yeah.
and they overworked their work and like overworked their thesis, and it was like,
Yeah. Yeah. Like some of the
uh,
artist statements. Like really, good lord.
yeah, and it's like, I feel like, you can ask. I I've spent a long time. I spent a lot of time asking why.
Hmm.
Like, why me? Why not them?
Yeah.
Like, why will spin you out.
Yeah.
Asking why, you are going to be in a place of anxiety and fear. But if you start asking what, like, what can I do right now to move myself forward even incrementally,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. That's all you can do.
And it's hard. It's tough.
Yeah.
Tough to do.
Yeah, I feel
Uh,
like I'm constantly on that road, no matter what I'm doing. Like at the golf course, my buddy owns the golf course, and I'm like, we need to do this, 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 and this, and he's like, it's fine. I said, well, do you want to make $1 million or do you want to make $100,000? I'm like, I'm giving you ideas on improvement. I'm like, let's
right.
just make this the best golf course in the freaking planet. Why would you not like? I don't understand people that like. Why would you not try to make it the best you could possibly make it? Just doesn't make sense to me.
Totally. Yeah.
Why
Well,
would you?
I know a lot of people who haven't even thought about what they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like what does what's your not what's your 5-year plan? What's your 50-year plan?
Yeah.
Where do you want to be? Because I
Mm-hmm.
like when I'm 75 or 80, I want to be like John or Val Cushing or like Warren McKenzie or Toshiko Takaizu or these old not. I don't want to be like Peter Volkus.
No, no.
It's like I don't want to be like a miserable fool.
Mhm.
I never met him personally. I just have heard a lot of stories.
Yes.
It's like how do I stay as generous as possible? How do
That's a
I
great
just
question.
keep it fun for me?
Yeah, this is great because I think everyone needs to hear that. I mean, in any art, not just ceramics. So that's huge. I was actually talking to my brother the other day. He was a pastor. Well, he's a businessman. He's a CEO of some big company, but he found Jesus and that's his thing, and it
Yeah.
works for him, which is great, right? But we were talking about, I saw like a meme on Instagram, and it said in 100 years, you're going to be dead, your kids are going to be dead, someone else is going to live in your house, no one's going to know who you were. Like, what's it all for?
Yeah. Totally.
So I asked him, I'm like, what's the point? Like, what's the
Yeah.
point? Anything? Do we only go to work so we don't have to sleep outside?
Right.
Like, I don't understand. So, and he said his point was the whole point is just love. Just pass on love. God is
Yeah.
love.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I kind of had a weird upbringing too. So, my dad was a juvenile correctional officer
Okay.
at Tryon Secure Facility.
Oh wow.
So he was a pretty interesting guy, but he was also like a yoga teacher and like a Reiki master.
Wow.
And we were raised Quaker. I'm technically a birthright Quaker.
Okay.
So I grew up, going to Quaker meeting and United Universalists and Hindu chants, Hare Krishnas.
No kidding.
Totally, all this stuff. And it's interesting getting older. I've found that I'm not like outrightly religious, but I do find myself being more spiritual and sort of taking the best of
Yep.
that make the most sense to me out of each of these
Yep.
practices and applying them to my life. And I think I don't know, it's like it can I can see how a lot of religious people, they do feel less anxiety and like
Yeah.
it's like because they've let go of control,
Yes. Exactly.
and I think that something they say in Hinduism is it's like I am not this body, I am not this mind. It's like I'm not the creator nor the enjoyer. It's like what am I?
Yeah.
I'm not my eyes, I'm not my hands, I'm not my brain, I'm not my name,
That's wild.
And it's like, I don't know. It's
I went and saw Krishna Das once with my ex-wife.
Oh, did you really?
Yep. Yep.
Guy shreds.
Yep. Hare Krishna. Hare.
Of
Yep.
course.
Reiki. So my first experience ever with Reiki was back in, the early 90s. My buddy's mom was dying of cancer. She was in the hospital. I grew up in Long Island. And they brought in this Reiki lady to work with her, and I was a stupid kid. And I was like, what is this crap? What are you talking about? And we were sitting there. We had been there like for 12 hours one day in the hospital. You know how that is, right? And,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that lady, Reiki lady's there, and I go, oh God, I got a headache. And she says, oh, you got a headache? And she walks over to me, and she grabs my ankle, right, and finds a little spot on my ankle, and then she touches a spot on my neck, and I was like, my headache was gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, what did you just do? I'll never forget.
Cleared you right up.
It was unbelievable. Well, is it like it's a connecting of the channels of the body, right, or something like that?
I'm not sure.
But it works, right?
But yeah, I mean, it's like it's typically like it's like they don't touch you. It's like a energy.
Yeah, energy. Yep.
Energy fields, and I'm not saying that like I am like a downright believer,
Yep.
But it is interesting having all these unique experiences.
Yeah.
I feel like I had like a weirdly unique childhood where I can't relate to a ton of people about it in a odd way.
Yeah. Probably why you like doing your own thing in ceramics, right?
Well, for sure. And I've got a huge chip on my shoulder, which is,
Yeah.
Which is, I think it's something to talk about too. I think it's, you know, for me, making stuff has been like, when I was drawing or making something as a little kid, that's where I felt, safe and got like positive reinforcement when I was young.
Yeah.
And then I just sort of clung on to that.
Yeah. It felt good to you.
So now here I am making, one or two Instagram posts a day. Right.
You still do what makes you happy. And that's,
Well, yeah, for sure. Not to overanalyze it, but it's like I think I'm seeking attention, through my work, which is fine. But a lot of if you look at a lot of the people who become artists, they're doing it to fill a void, right?
yeah.
And I think that's we're all on Instagram trying to make everything, here I am, like, look how easy it is for me, right?
Yeah.
Like, here's all the videos of things going well, or even if the things aren't going well, it's like, look how approachable and humble I am.
Yeah.
It's so easy to like throw the mask out and you're just like, seeking reinforcement.
Yeah. I was trying to tell my daughter that. I'm like, you look at people on Instagram and Facebook, that is not their real life. That is the good parts of their life.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
I think they should make a negative gram, right? Like,
well, yeah, they do. They do. It's called Instagram. Yeah.
I had a crappy day today, and this is what made it crappy, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's the big part of life.
For sure.
And also, I think I spoke to Chris Long about this the other day, because Instagram is great for potters and it's great for artists because we can get our work out there and show 1 million people or 1 billion people at one time. But at the same time, it's kind of like, for me, I think it's like with kids looking at Instagram, you're thinking that your pots are no good because you're watching somebody make an amazing pot.
Totally.
You're like, oh God, I suck so bad. Like,
totally. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it's funny, when I was learning how to make pots, I'm still learning how, but when I was earlier in my stage of education, Instagram was like just kind of starting. Mm-hmm. And I was I'm usually late to things. I didn't get my license until I was 20, but I'm usually the last one on the boat. But, I feel so grateful that none of that stuff is out there. You could find it if you go on my Facebook. You could go and find my first pots. Mm-hmm. But I was able to learn in privacy.
Yeah.
And I feel like now it's like everyone is trying to be an influencer. It's like they want to be you want to look like a yogi. You don't want to do yoga.
Yeah.
You want to look like a surfer, but you don't want to surf.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's it's something I find myself battling with, because in order to break into the algorithm, you got to freaking post like a madman, and it's gross. It makes me feel gross.
Yeah. It makes you feel cheap. Yeah.
But like, that's where we are.
Yeah. You were talking before about something that reminded me years ago in an AA meeting. I've been sober 22 years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Best thing I ever did, because I was going to go to jail or die. I mean, I was like, okay, time's up. Like, I give. But I had a guy say one time, he's sitting in a chair in an AA meeting. He says, my best thinking gets me right into this chair.
Yeah.
With all you people.
Yeah.
Right? So he's like, if I just let go, we're talking about religion and stuff. Like, if I just let go and let life happen and just continue to do the best I can every day, life kind of takes care of itself. But when I take control and I try to make life go my way, I get right back into this room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of wisdom in the rooms too. I grew up going to NA and AA meetings too. Mm-hmm. So with my parents and Al-Anon.
Yeah. There's amazing stuff in there.
It's interesting. I feel like, I feel like there's just wisdom to be found everywhere. and it's just like where it's just how you can apply it. You
Well,
know,
there's that old saying: as long as you're open to it,
sure.
you got to keep your eyes open. Don't be, don't close your ears. Or
Yeah.
they used to say that in AA: shut your mouth and open your ears.
Yeah.
You're going to hear your story.
Yep.
Speaking of stories, I watched you build that studio there on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
That is a lot of work, dude. Congratulations,
Thank you very much.
dude.
Thanks so much.
That was a lot of that was like a spent old garage that you turned into a nice spot. Can you give us a little tour?
Sure. Yeah. You want a little walk around?
Yeah, yeah. So you got a wood stove, right? You have
I got a wood
ovens.
stove. Oh yeah, we're cooking. We're cooking with wood now. All right. Let's see here. Maybe I'll turn the can. Can I turn? No. All right. I'll keep the camera here. So all right. So here's the studio, covered in snow. But
Nice.
it's this old double bay garage
Oh wow.
that is unattached from the house, but it's on the property that we bought a few years ago.
Is it strictly wood? Wood heat?
Heated by wood. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So I have to stay on that so all my stuff doesn't freeze.
Yep.
But there was no sheetrock. There was no ceiling. All the insulation was hanging down. There was no lights.
Yeah, I remember watching it. Wow.
And yeah, I've got a bunch of tables, some old tables that I built. I got this old ladder that I've got set up for pots.
Yeah.
The TV for Lord of the Rings. The important
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep.
And then this is the other half. Let me go through here.
Oh, it gets bigger.
Oh, this is the other half of the studio. Yeah. So this is the unheated half. And so I got my kiln here. I got from a paint your own pottery studio that was going out of business.
Oh wow. I have the
That's
same
a
kiln.
deal on it. It was like $1,700 for an old beat up kiln, but it needed a lot of work. And then here I've actually got 3 pallets of brick, soft brick back here,
Oh really? You gonna build one?
and a pug mill. So
Ooh.
right when we bought the house 4 years ago, we got lucky on our timing, me and my wife. The first thing we did before moving in was I found this kiln for sale on Facebook, and her name is Vicky Crowell. She was an Alfred alum too.
Mm-hmm.
She was a production potter for many years, and her husband had gotten sick, and she just decided it was time to sell everything and focus on spending time with her husband.
Mm-hmm.
So that's her old kiln. And it's just been sitting there in stacks for the last 4 years. So I've been getting the studio put together. But my
And
goal,
you're gonna build the kiln out of those brick?
I'm gonna build. I think the goal is I'm gonna try to build a little wood kiln out back.
Sweet.
My friend Henry Chrisman was telling me about this trendy new style of wood kiln called a Phoenix kiln,
Yeah.
where it's all made out of soft brick.
It's called the Fast Fire. A Phoenix
That's
Fast.
fire. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep, they're tiny and they're cool. I actually talked to Sean Murray about that. I said I want a small wood kiln.
Exactly.
It's small and wood don't go together. I said, oh, we can make it work. Just you
Yeah.
gotta peel it, right?
Well, I think that I don't think it has to be terribly small, but I think the idea is because it's using soft brick, it doesn't take the same amount of heat absorption that all those heavy duty, super duty fire brick wood kilns.
Yeah, just
You have to
soaking up
heat
heat.
up all the brick, all that thermal mass. It's tons and tons of weight before
Yeah.
you can heat up the inside of the kiln. With these kilns, I think you can fire them more like a reduction gas fire.
Very
Gas
cool.
fire
Yeah.
8 to 10 hours. Reduction cooled, all with wood. Use a quart or two of wood, not much.
Yep.
Few $100 if you're buying it.
And then if you're not going to do salt or soda, you're not going to kill those soft brick anyway.
Yeah, and I think that they line it. They cover it with like a liner on the
Yes.
inside. So
Yeah.
they paint like a liner. I'm not exactly sure how it works. I'll figure it out when I get there.
Yeah.
Uh,
I would reach out to Sean because I saw him. He just built a new kiln. I was down at Alfred last week, and what the heck was it? It wasn't the fiber sheets, but it was painted.
yeah. Yes. Yep. That stuff.
Very cool.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So that's the plan.
And it's a lot cheaper than those hard brick. Those freaking hard bricks are like $9 a piece.
a lot cheaper, and then it's so much cheaper to fire. And like, it's like I love wood firing. It's so fun, but it is so much freaking work to make the pot, to put the pot in the kiln, and then you're putting it into this like, cone 12 box for a week, and everything cracks and gets smashed and the shelves fall, and it's like, oh my God, like,
yeah,
it's already so much work.
It takes a village.
And that's not to hate on the wood firing people out there.
Oh no, it's great.
Godspeed.
Yeah.
But
actually, I would love to see some of your marble bowls wood fired. That'd be cool as shit.
Yeah, for sure. Well, but the thing is with the polishing is you take off a lot of that surface. So I'm like removing that outer layer. That would be getting smashed with all the ash from the wood firing with the polishing, But it could be cool though too. I mean, I would like to hear it.
It's cool to actually watch you build it too. Like if you do like you did with the studio and post, photos as you go, it's gonna be fun to watch.
That's definitely the plan. Yeah, that's the plan.
What wheel do you throw on?
I've got I have 2 Brent CXCs.
Sweet.
I've got a one in all black and one in the classic yellow.
The old classic mustard.
Oh yeah, mustard.
Speaking of black, I love your black glaze.
Oh, thank you very much.
What is that? Got some manganese in it? Is that?
It's stain. I think it's black 6600.
Oh, that is best black, right?
Best black. Yeah.
Here, I'll show you what I do. Let me grab a pot. So I use TerraSig, as you know, right?
Yep.
So it's funny. Speaking of Matt Katz, so when I do black, it's black underglaze.
Beautiful.
So people are like, dude, is that black clay? I'm like, no. And they're like, yeah, it is. I'm like, no. But Matt and Rose were doing their chat at NCECA a couple years ago, and I was listening to Matt. Matt used to be a TerraSig guy. I think he still is, if he's still making. Those two are wicked smart, by the way.
The best.
As they say in Boston, wicked smart.
Yeah.
But he said he's like, I was trying to get a black TerraSig for the longest time, and I kept just getting gray. And he's like, it was driving me crazy. He goes, then I realized I was using a white clay as my base for my TerraSig. And, me being an idiot, I just went, oh my God. I came home and bought a bag of Red Art. I got Red Art black TerraSig.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't you love those moments?
It takes an outside perspective.
Yes, when you see someone go, well, why don't you just do this? And you go, holy crap, I never thought of that.
Yeah, totally.
Mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I love that black glaze.
Oh, thank you.
I'm still messing. I go back and forth. Like, I went to TerraSig a lot. I'm trying to find a good pot. Because I like to control the surface. Mm-hmm. And glazing kind of sucks, unless you're good at it. And I also I kind of know, if I'm putting something in the kiln, I kind of know what it's going to be like before it's done.
Right.
There's not too many open the kiln and go, ah, shit.
Yeah.
That's terrible. But now I'm kind of going back down this road of glazes. I got a white and a yellow I've been guessing with. Because I just like the white, actually.
Oh, beautiful.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, that's nice.
I just dig the white.
Yeah.
Have you seen the butt things I was doing?
Yeah, for sure.
I got one right here. This is on one right now.
Nice.
Yeah. So I might actually take this, put it on the wheel, and then fold it down with a rib.
Nice.
So this will be a big wide. Wide.
Yeah. It gets some interesting skin, like the skin stretching on that a little bit.
Yeah. So that's what I want to see because it was coil built. I actually want to see what it does as I pull it apart,
Yeah.
Because it's going to get thinner. So that might be pretty cool.
Beautiful.
I'm trying to use some fatter. Did you see that big silly head I made the other day?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
It's big.
It's big.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, it's going to fire to be the size of a softball. Yeah. That's always how those big ones go.
It's like being a head shrinker. I made this one yesterday, too. just kind of messing with. I actually made this one and then took the face off of it. I wasn't a big fan of the face, so now it's just a big bottle.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love the scale.
yeah, it's kind of fun. You know, I get kind of ADHD bored. Like I just was using, extruding some bigger coils and then just boom, 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 boom. But when I
Yeah.
get to about here, I'm like, all right, I had enough of going straight up.
Right.
I could go like this and make this thing this big, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's funny. It's I remember when Chris Gustin had his retrospective show. Do you remember that?
Yeah, the one at Alfred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has all those like monumental pieces.
Yeah, they're amazing.
I feel like he figured out, and he talked about this a little bit too. It's like ceramics wants to live. Clay doesn't want to get much bigger than like yay big. It just doesn't like it. And forcing it out of that scale is hard to do. But I found, in making some of these larger pots, I'm not obviously I'm no Chris Gustin. I've made a handful of large pots, and I've messed up. Let's see, how many big pots have I made? I've probably made 10 pots over 70 pounds in my life. I've messed up probably 10 pots. Like I've probably messed up 10 and successfully completed 10. But it's like to get the clay to be large. Soft clay just doesn't want to do it, and I think it sharpens your skills so much that when you go back to making smaller work, your level of understanding is completely different.
Yeah. That's
to the point where I'd recommend doing it. Like, make some big pots. They're probably going to collapse your first few.
Yeah.
Wedge the clay up again. Make small stuff with it.
Yeah.
But you gotta, if you never try to flex, like growth happens when you're uncomfortable, right? And if you're never like flexing those muscles and risking failure, then it's, you're holding yourself back.
Yeah, absolutely. I just taught a workshop at Aramont back in November.
Beautiful.
Love Aramont. Have you been down there yet?
I haven't, no.
Oh, it's so cool. If you get a chance to go to like a Pentaculum or something, I would say go. It's a lot of fun. But I taught, a bunch of ladies came from all over the country. A couple of guys were in it. And, I was like, you need to be able to make this and then just crumple it up and wedge it back up and do it again. Don't get so caught up in, oh my God, what if this fails? Who cares? Like, it's clay, dude. Throw it in a bucket of water and make another one.
Yeah.
I got 3 bags of Reclaim right there. And there's, again, it comes all back around to the bad pots. Like, it's okay to fail. And failing is a huge part of moving on as a person, I think, and as an artist.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. If you're not failing, you're not trying, right?
Yeah.
Like that whole thing.
That's like poker, right? If you don't get caught bluffing, you're not playing poker.
For sure.
Well, this is fun, dude. We haven't even touched on it. We're just been chatting the whole time. This is great.
Yeah.
I got to come up and see you. You're what are you, 4 hours from me?
Yeah, come on up, man. We'll make some pasta together. I got 2 wheels.
Dude, see, that sounds fun. I love doing that, by the way. I just had a girl named Jessie Marinacci. She's a local potter.
Cool.
The other day, I said, come on over and let's hand build together. And she brought lunch, and she sat on the other side of my table, and we just chatted and made pots, and I love that shit.
Beautiful. Let's do it.
That's fun. I want to have people here. Like, I want to invite 4 or 5 artists for a week of let's just come and make pots together. Let's collab together.
I dream of doing that too. We should figure it out and make it happen.
Hell yeah, we'll do a Saratoga symposium or something like that.
That sounds fun. Yeah, for sure.
We can make it happen. Sometimes, again, what's the worst part of trying? Just try. Why not?
Totally. Yeah.
So speaking of which, I was at my buddy Marshall's. Marshall, episode number 1. Did you see Marshall Green?
I saw part of it.
He's the guy who I say you two are the best throwers I've ever seen because he just sits down and goes burp, and the thing is, freaking 40 inches tall. I'm like, dude, come on. But he's been doing it since he was a kid. But him and I were over his house yesterday. We get together and smoke cigars at his house sometimes.
Nice.
He's a businessman. He's just got that mind. He owns a couple of buildings and like rents them out, and he's a mover and a shaker.
Yeah.
And when it comes to everything, he's a mover and a shaker. So we were talking about the podcast. He's like, Mike, this podcast is great. He's like, it's going to take off. People are loving it. And the guy who I have Wednesday is Kevin Kowalski from LA.
Yeah. Yep.
He hung out with Seth Rogen. I was like,
Sure.
oh, that'd be great if we could get Seth Rogen on the podcast.
Yeah.
And Marshall goes, I'll send an email to his publicist.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, well, he goes, what's the worst he can say?
Yeah.
No? Yeah.
Yeah.
What if he says yes? So
Yeah.
So he's going to shoot an email. That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
That's awesome.
Because Rogan's a potter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think Brad Pitt likes to make pots too.
I bet. I bet he makes some handsome pots. Okay. Good looking pots out of that man.
Yeah, be very chiseled pots.
Chisel.
Yes. Let's see. Let's get back on some questions. So we got a couple minutes left. Oh my God,
Yeah.
it's almost an hour already. Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, somebody else I'm going to be on. They have a podcast. It's called Wheel Talk Podcast.
Okay. Cool.
I'm going to be on their podcast. They're going to be on mine. I think we're going to film them, like record them at the same time.
Beautiful.
So that's going to be fun as hell. So the bowls I got from you, by the way, are awesome. Did you get
cool.
a picture I sent you with my stepson?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
So he's like, dude, this is the best bowl ever. I'm like, oh yeah, that's not offensive. Thanks a lot.
Oh, well, one man's compliment.
Yeah, but now
Yeah.
he's like, dude, hand me a Josh bowl. Like,
Ah,
so you are in our kitchen nightly.
man, thank you.
Those are great. What glaze was that? Is that like a Shino? What is that?
That is so. That is just a satin white over the cinnamon underglaze.
Oh, okay.
But the cinnamon underglaze has a lot of iron in it.
Mm-hmm.
So the iron, I guess I learned this from, Matt Katz. But the iron and copper like to off gas, and they push little bubbles. So what you get, actually, I want to here. So what you can get is you get these little spots in the glaze. I don't know if you can see little dark spots, but that's where the bubbles sort of like pushed through and popped. But then you get this sort of like nice, sort of off-white, warm sort of color. It does have like a Shino. It almost feels like it's like reduction fired.
It's a very comfortable pot. I really appreciate how well made your pots are.
Oh, thank you.
You got to look up my buddy Matt Hiller. I don't know if you've seen him yet. I've shared a couple of his things. Hiller. He's from Alaska. Actually, he went to Alfred. I think he only went for one semester and then went home.
No kidding.
But dude, he makes just beautiful pots. And I sent him a message. I'm like, dude, your pots are bordering on rude. like they're so good,
I'd like to see those. I'm gonna get a pen and write his name down right now.
Matt Hiller.
I know myself.
No, I'm the worst. It's getting worse too as I get older.
Oh yeah.
So I sent him a message that, I bet you your tools are all really clean, because the way he makes pots are so perfect,
Wow.
And he goes, actually, the perfection in his pots is one of the things he doesn't like about his pots.
Right. Yes.
He's like, I like your pots more.
Yes.
Like, what? But you have that whole thing, like you always want what you can't have, I guess, type thing. But,
No kidding. Yes.
yeah. He's like, I love how loose yours are. I'm like, great.
Totally. Yeah, I can relate to that feeling also.
But here's a crazy story. Speaking of Instagram, so Matt and I have kind of become buddies. He sent me his clay recipe. I made a couple bags of his clay. He sent me a glaze of his. Doesn't work, right? I can't get it to work. Right?
Yep.
Not even close. So he got on one of my live videos last year, and I'm just making pots. And I go, oh, hey, Matt. And he says to me, he goes, and he lives in Talkeetna, Alaska, which is 2 hours west of Anchorage, right? Middle of friggin' nowhere. And he says, hey, do you know a guy named Jerry McEnany? I go, yeah, of course I know Jerry. He lives in Hornell. I've known him for 30 years. Like, how do you know Jerry? And he says, I'm standing in the hardware store next to his son, Joe. I wanted to say hi to you.
No kidding.
Isn't that freaking wild?
Wow, what a small world.
So it gets even smaller. So I'm giving a golf lesson to a guy at the golf course last year. This guy Neil, right? And I'm telling him this story, and he goes in the middle of the golf lesson. He goes, my daughter lives in Talkeetna, Alaska.
Oh my God.
I go, get out of here, really? What's her name? And he tells me Ellen or something like that. So during the golf lesson, I get on my phone and I message Matt in Alaska. Hey, do you know this girl Ellen Ross? And literally, he sends me a picture back. He goes, me and her? He's standing right next to her.
Wow.
Isn't that weird? Totally across the country.
Stuff like that makes you wonder.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, no kidding.
A lot more going on in this universe than we think we know.
No kidding.
Let's see. So, a couple of more questions before we got time. What is your favorite tool to use besides the diamond pad paper?
Oh, my favorite tool.
What do you use most, you think? Besides the wheel, I guess, right?
I mean, I love trimming. Mm-hmm. Want to see my favorite? All right, I'll grab my favorite tool.
Is it a Dolan?
It's a Bison.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I created these butt things so I don't have to trim anymore.
Yeah, that's smart. I would never. Dude, trimming is all I have. I feel like
You can't take that away from me.
I feel like I can hardly throw, but I save stuff with the trimming.
Oh, that's cool.
This is my number one favorite Bison tool. It's like a double wielded.
Yeah.
You can really do some kung fu with this thing. But I guess I'm blanking on his name. Paul, the guy who would make the Bison tools, just passed away this year.
Oh no. Okay.
And these are all tungsten carbide, so if you drop it, they shatter.
Yep. Don't drop it.
I can't drop it, but I've got these are all his too. But I bought these at NCECA when I was in college.
And, I remember those ergonomic handles.
They are incredible. Mm-hmm. Incredible. Can't recommend them highly enough.
I actually drove up to Syracuse the other day to go say hi to Austin Riddle and stop over to Clayscapes. You know Austin?
I don't know him personally. I know his work though.
Oh yeah, God, his pots are so good.
Really good.
He was at Pentaculum with me at Aramont, and I always tell people this story. I sat down and hand built 30 pots, just boom, 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 bang, boom, 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 bang. I'm having fun, in this great studio. He worked on one handle the whole week.
Wow.
Like all week.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good handle, right?
I bet. Yeah.
But I was looking at, he was showing me around his studio, and he's like, "Oh, look, I've been making these too." And he pulls out this little wooden box, and it slides open, and there's this like beautiful handmade knife inside it. And I was like, "Oh my God, those are amazing!" I'm like, "Can I have one of those?" He says, "No." I'll buy one, but
is that your favorite tool right there? That
yeah, that's my Dolan knife.
Oh yeah,
I love this thing.
I got one just like it.
Dude, it's like sheet metal or something.
Oh yeah, yeah. So sharp, keeps its point.
So when did you go to NCECA? When you were in school?
Yep. Yeah. When I was in school, I was part of the Alfred Clay Collective.
Oh, nice. Yep.
So they.
Where was that one?
Which is the way I could figure out how to go to NCECA.
Where was that
one? So I went to. I think I actually went to 3 NCECAs when I was at Alfred. I went to one in Seattle. I went to one in Houston, and Rhode Island maybe.
Sweet. So the school sent you there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
It was great. Yeah, and they also sent me to Peters Valley one summer to take a workshop. Mm-hmm. They were very generous with me there.
Yeah, that's a great place.
Yeah, but I was treating it. I was making pots the way like a wrestler would train for his rival. Like I was really really, really hungry. I was like making pots like this is my way out.
Yeah.
And but like really, and I feel like there are a lot of kids who like, you know, whose grandparents paid for their college and they're there to like, you know,
Have
do
fun.
acid and get hammered drunk. And,
Yeah.
you know, like I did some of that too, but,
Yeah.
but I showed up to the studio the next day at 7 a.m. and I practiced my cylinders.
Yeah.
And I did it before class. I did it after class. I did it when I should be working on other classes. I was like, you know, I changed my minor. I dropped. I was going to be. I wanted to be a high school teacher. I was an education minor, and then it was between taking child psychology and kiln building. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, what do you mean? I'm not going to. I got to take kiln building. Sean's
Absolutely. Yeah.
right. But yeah, I mean, it's an odd life we've chosen for ourselves.
I wonder when you said it was my way out, my first thought was maybe it was your way in.
Yeah, for sure. A way into a different life.
Yeah.
For sure.
Or a way into like knowing who you are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I think everyone kind of wants to be somebody else, but you can't be somebody else till you know yourself, right?
No kidding.
Kind of crazy. And I don't know why. Why do we want? That's a whole nother half hour. Like, why do we want to be somebody else? Like, just I don't get it. So, okay, we're coming in on time here. So, tell us where can we buy your pots? What's your website?
My website is joshsmithceramics.com.
JoshSmithCeramics.com.
My Instagram is joshsmithceramics.
Okay.
Get a hold of me.
You're in Saratoga, New York, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's a cool town.
Yeah, it's a sweet little tourist town.
Yeah, there's a couple of good golf courses up there, actually.
Good golf courses. We got the horse track sort of funds the town for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's a
So
big
there's
race.
lots of good restaurants. Most bars per capita in New York State.
Oh, no
so
kidding.
I know we're not interested in that, but
No.
but it's a big drinking, partying, gambling town.
Yeah, I got that feel last time I was there. It was probably 20 years ago I was there.
Yeah.
Are you getting in any shows? Are you applying to anything lately, or just making pots?
So I just applied to this show at Peters Valley. It's like I think it's called like the Second Careers Makers Show or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I submitted with one of my polished pieces
Very
because
cool.
it's sort of talking about how your other career influences your ceramic work. And I was like, somebody sent me the link. I was like, oh, geez, that thing was made for me. If I don't get into this one.
Yeah, you're crazy. Yeah.
So I applied for that one and I got in. But honestly, I've been chicken shit scared to apply to almost anything. I haven't been really applying to craft fairs or putting myself out there very much until maybe honestly the last few weeks. I feel like I've been like, I decided I'm like, oh, okay, it's time.
Yeah.
I have to start getting over my own issues and start putting myself out there a bit more.
From one potter to another, man. Your pots are really good, so
Oh, thank you.
just throw them out there. It's like I applied to the Ceramics Monthly Emerging Artist thing the other day,
Nice.
and it's supposed to be like people have made pots in 10 years or under. So I've been making pots longer than 10 years, but I only make pots half a year.
Right.
7 months a year I can't make pots, so literally it's been about 5 years.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah,
there.
I was thinking about applying to that too. They actually extended the deadline to today. I might have to
There you go.
slide
It was
one in
meant to
there.
be.
But what was that?
It was meant to be. You got to put a pot in there.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
I just apply. I actually sent an email to Peters Valley to teach a workshop down there, but I don't think they do like winter workshops. They said we have space for you in the summer. I'm like, well, summer is working.
Yeah.
So eventually I'll get there to where I'm just making pots for a living, but I don't know if I ever want to do that.
Totally.
Right?
You don't want to make it too much work.
No, because then I'll. So did you ever meet Pete Roberts?
No.
Crazy Pete. He lived up on top of Mullen Road. He built those dome houses.
Okay.
he made great pots back. He graduated from Alfred, and now every once in a while he makes. He created a cinder block. It's like an interlocking cinder block system, which is it's going to make him a billionaire, I think. But years ago, he was making bonsai pots
Wow.
and just giving them away. And I remember saying, Pete, why are you giving away your pots? They're great pots. And he said, if I sell them, it becomes work, and I don't want it to be work.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, fine line, right? I mean, you got to kind of at least pay for your clay somehow.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I don't know. I think a lot of it is like how you define success,
Yeah,
right? So, for me, success is like getting pictures from you and your stepson of them being like, give me another Josh bowl.
yeah,
I'd rather see my pots like in the dishwasher than in your china cabinet.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and for me, it's like I'm just trying to I'm trying to enjoy my life.
yeah,
I don't want, it's like I feel like I hear people saying like, oh well, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Things will be okay. And it's like, no. Things are okay
yeah,
right now.
yeah.
Like it's like you are okay right now.
Mhm.
And I don't know. It's like the future. The future. It's coming. The sky is falling. Political bullshit. It's all
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
And it's like I feel like now more than ever, it's like a good time to touch grass. Go fishing. Go for a walk.
it's a good
Like
time to touch grass. That's a
touch
great one.
grass.
Yeah,
Like get out there and breathe some fresh air. The sky
it's
is not.
it's
You
really
know.
tough to live in the moment. I remember a guy, another great, in AA, a guy said another great thing when they said close your mouth and open your ears. I did.
Yeah.
And I remember these people saying these things, and they just, you can feel them stick in your head. You're like, oh, I got that forever. A guy said one time, he said, you got 1 foot in the past and 1 foot in the future, and you're pissing all over today. I was like, oh,
Love that one.
yeah. So it's living in the moment. I mean, it's harder than people think it is, but
Yeah.
yeah. All right, so let's see. What do you have as a one good tip for all the watchers of Between Two Ewers out there?
One good tip.
Whether it's a play
Um,
tip, life tip,
life
physical
tip.
tip.
Well, all right. This applies. This is an everything tip.
Okay.
I think Buddha said this. Attachment is the root of all suffering. And I think that as it applies to art, as it applies to life, if you find yourself,
I'm writing that down.
if you find yourself getting resentful, it's because you have all these expectations of how things should be, how you wish it could have been,
Yep.
And I think that the key to avoiding resentment and leading a happy, fulfilled life is you have to let go of, it's like you can shape things as much as you can, right? It's like learning to change the things I can and the wisdom to know the difference.
Wisdom
Right?
to know the difference. Absolutely.
Keep coming back. It
Yeah.
works if you work it, right? But,
Yes.
I'm telling you, but you got to work it.
You got to work.
You got to work your program, whatever that is. You got to work your practice, whatever that is. And there's a lot of. I feel like at this point in my life, I'm seeking wisdom over knowledge. There are all these like little cliche statements that I used to like roll my eyes out.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, attachment is the root of suffering. Oh yeah, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
But
Makes
for
sense.
real though. And also in pottery, attachments are the root of suffering. Like slip and score really well. Score your handles. You want your attachments to be strong to
Yep.
bring it full circle.
Yep. I got this
But
thing.
nice, yeah,
This
exactly
thing's
right.
cool, man.
But yeah, I think that would be.
That's a great one.
I say that to everybody. Attachment is the root of all suffering.
That's a great one. One of my life's mottos is expectations are premeditated resentments.
Yes, I got one of those. I say expectations are resentments in waiting.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You expected a certain result, didn't come out the way you wanted it to, and now you're mad.
Well, now you're like mourning. You know, you're like grieving the future that you could have had. You know, you're like you're not here. You're
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yes. So this is great. This has been awesome, Josh. I heard a lot of things from you today that I think I needed to hear today as well. So I appreciate that. So
Anytime.
I appreciate you. I appreciate your pots, and I look forward to hanging out some more.
Thanks for having me on, Mike.
All right, buddy. You're the best. We'll see you.
See you soon.